All right. Hey, we are live. Man, sometimes, StreamYard tells me like a minute after we've gone live that we're live. And sometimes it's like right on the ball. And maybe it's a fan of Halloween or something because it's right on the ball today. But anyway, hey, I'm Brent Leary. Oh, man, it's Halloween. It's a beautiful looking Halloween out in Atlanta right now. And I'm actually dressed for Halloween. I'm gonna go dressed as a Rams fan. Imagine that. Actually, I got all new Rams gear, so I could actually say this is kind of my new Halloween costume of sorts. The Rams hat is new, and my Rams salute to service, brand new. Just got it last night. So happy Halloween, everybody. So this is gonna be a great few good minutes, or should I just say a few great minutes? Either way, I'm really looking forward to this. Talking to Brett Weigl about what's going on with AI and shopping this holiday season. But before we do that, it is a Thursday, and we are doing CRM players. So we were just out at user testings this conference. I love that. The acronym is this, but it stands for the Human Insight Summit. So that was in Austin, Texas, and we got a chance to first time going. Me and the venerable Paul Greenberg, first time checking it out. We really enjoyed it. We're going to talk a lot more about it on the show. But one of the things we enjoyed the most was getting a chance to sit down with Jamie Anderson, who is their president and global field operations. But we've known Jamie for like 15. I think Paul might have known him for 20 years back in his SAP days when he was at with Adobe and with Marketo, and then he went to Exactly. So we've known him for years, and it was really cool catching up with him. So he has some really interesting things to say about what they're doing. So check that out. That's 3 o'clock today, and yeah, should be pretty good. Now let me turn to what we're gonna do right now. So hey, it's October 31st. We're getting ready to go into the serious home stretch with the holiday shopping season. You got what, Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Cyber Monday. There's some Green Tuesday in there somewhere. Lots of stuff. Lots of people are going to be shopping. Lots of things are going to be happening. And this is like the second full holiday shopping season with Gen AI around. And AI has been around forever, but Gen AI is really now it's been here. I think I look at things in terms of uh, pre Chat GPT and post Chat GPT, like things that were one way pre Chat GPT are just not the same. Things have changed dramatically. I think shopping is hasn't changed as much as I thought it would, but maybe we're about to see the full strength of Gen AI on this holiday shopping season now that we're about 2 years in. And so I'm really looking forward to having, and we're going to talk a little about football, get that out of the way. But we're going to have Brett Weigl join me. Actually, going to join me right now. He's the SVP of Product Management for AI for Genesys. Brett, man, thank you for doing this.
Hello. How are you, sir? I hope you're doing well. I love the gear. Well, 49ers fan, so I don't totally love the gear. You know what I'm saying, though? I appreciate the quality and the effort. So,
you know what? Let's go ahead and get the football talk out of the way because I don't know if it's gone the way that either of us thought it would at this
yeah,
point.
no, if your goal was a middling 500-ish team, like great, but probably not what we're going for. But yeah,
The Cardinals are like tied for the lead.
well, I never thought I'd hear that, right? So yeah, interesting. Well, fun fact, also an Oregon Ducks fan, so I get to sort of trumpet the number one thing that's going on there. So apparently the move to the big leagues is working out for them. So that's also been my focus.
Have they played like Ohio State or anybody like that yet?
They are playing, I think, Michigan this coming week. So it's been more of that kind of opponent, which is good. Because, in the past it was sort of like, hey, we racked up 4 wins, but we beat, some, small school way up in the mountains no one's ever heard of. Who paid us to play us, right?
So enjoy that number one ranking, man.
Yeah, no, it's we'll see if it keeps going, but it's nice to be part of that conversation when the 49ers are kind of you know, kind of hit or miss, right? So
nice to have that fallback. But we're not falling back now. We're heading full steam ahead into the holiday shopping season.
That's right.
And AI. So I mentioned before I brought you on that I'm starting to view things in like pre-chat GPT and post-chat GPT, even though it's very hard to say that. But it feels like there's that line of delineation, that things that happen before and things that happen after. And one of those huge things, of course, is shopping. And it doesn't, I mean, get your perspective on it. Last holiday season would have been like the first full year of ChatGPT heading into the holiday season. Didn't feel like people necessarily knew what to do with it or knew what the power of it was.
Right.
But as we head into this season, do you think that's different? Do you think are we going to see some dramatic impact on ChatGPT or excuse me, GenAI on this holiday season?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think, look, the challenge with shopping experiences has always been sort of a lot of like sort of personalization, attribution, right? Am I reaching buyers as a retailer? Am I reaching buyers in the right segment? Are they finding my products? Or am I reducing the friction to buy? You can imagine a lot of shoppers are asking ChatGPT and other products, Mistral, the Anthropic one, right? Everyone's got one, right? You start asking the brain in a box, what should I buy? What should I consider, right? We don't have the same hooks between that kind of experience and shopping sites as we do with traditional search, sponsored ads in search, right? That whole loop, Google Shopping, really well thought out, and the attribution's easy, right? And I, as a shopper, have that type of thing at my fingertips, right? Those types of experiences don't exist with Gen AI, so it's like for the consumer a little bit of an extra advisor on the side. Eventually, I think more of an integrated experience will emerge there, right? And I think that some retailers are thinking about, what can I just infuse into my site to help with recommendations, right? Can I do that kind of concierge shopping experience with this newer technology? Not that people haven't tried it historically, but I think that is a little bit of a, at the front end, kind of, recommend for me 15 things that, will fit me well and, for this use case, right? And you can describe it in plain English rather than having to navigate some annoying wizard, which would be the older generation of that type of thing, right? So I think that's like, I think that for the consumer, that's probably like more of how it'll change, is that we'll get more of that kind of experience infused into browsing through products.
I forget who it was. I had this recent conversation and we started talking about kind of, the shopping experience and what impact Gen AI has had up to this date. And man, I really wish I could credit this person because I thought it was such a really interesting point. He's like, you know what? The best Gen AI feature, he called it a feature, for me when it comes to shopping, is it gives me the ability to argue. And the traditional the traditional shopping experience when it comes to the web is, you like you said, you do a Google search, you click on some links, you get a whole bunch of ads, you get stuff coming at you just because you clicked on those links, because now they've got you. Now they're going to overload you with all sorts of stuff that they want you to see, but it doesn't provide you a real mechanism to turn that back around and have the conversation. You're showing me stuff that I really don't care about, but you didn't have that, that ability, that avenue to actually have a conversation. Whereas what we're seeing with AI and Gen AI, and if you're using a service like a ChatGPT or a Perplexity or any of those things, you do have this conversational aspect now to say, well, I don't really like this, but I want to see something more like that. So is that part of the thing that the shoppers are really going to be able to experience a much more conversational shopping experience versus the typing in and getting links and clicking links and then getting ridiculous ads back at us?
I mean, I think that it's probably for some types of shoppers that will be a better experience, and it's also for some types of purchases too, right? So if you have, say you have a friend, right? Like if I was going to buy you a Christmas present, and to be clear, I definitely am, but I've got a lot of things. I've got a lot of
size
ideas
large.
already.
I'm a large size.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
so you know.
yeah. I have like a lot of really obvious things I could send you, but if you're buying for the person who's hard to buy for, right? Having creative ideas, having that idea of the natural variation that you get with these models is really exciting, right? Because it's like, come up with 5 crazy ideas, come up with a poem that I can put in the card when I send them the present, right? Like all of these things can be a lot more special because we've got these extra tools to be creative with it. I recently bought a suitcase because I got to do a big international trip, right? So there, I really kind of just went to the site and I wanted to be able to like put in specs and the filter, and I know I needed this size, and you know, I even knew the brand that I wanted, so it was sort of like, you know, pinpoint. So for me, like that use case, probably less of a thought process needed, no variation needed, right? So maybe a Perplexity kind of thing where it gives me links and can click me in, but probably more like the traditional sites, still useful, right? So I think it's a side-by-side kind of thing. I think also that we really need to get better at using verbatims and chats and things like that that help us to segment and like create the idea of who these shoppers really are. We kind of separate these things a little bit. We have service experiences, we have ways that we you know, indicate our preferences in language. The whole world of, you know, kind of attribution and ad platforms, et cetera, are just kind of all numbers and little strings and URLs, right? But you don't really have a lot of crossover, right? That will help you with what people say and also what people do, right? That's a richer segment set that you could then target better with the specific product, so it is less annoying. So I think that there's a lot of like that merging of service with MarTech that I think will continue, and you'll see more of that in the market.
I like what Alan says here. I'm sure Google searches for what's a good gift for will go way down. I absolutely agree with that.
Yeah.
I
Well,
can
unless
feel
you're pushing into Gemini, right? So
right. Man, they're already plotting for that. But it does feel like this year might be a significant impact on the traditional way that we try to find products or try to find gifts because of things like this. Or, you know, people are seemingly turning to, I think I saw where every week there's 100 million, I don't know if it's interactions or searches on Perplexity.
yeah.
I mean, when you think about that, I mean, most people didn't know what Perplexity was 2 years ago. And now every week there's 100 million interactions with it. It's amazing.
Well, I think that there's a huge revolution that's going to happen just in terms of what do we think of as computer interfaces. Because if you think about a voice activated virtual assistant, right? You know, I think that not to trigger, I won't say any of the names so that we don't trigger our phones, but yeah, Siri. But you know, as and there we go. That actually triggered my phone. But the idea of those assistants becoming more cross-domain, more cross-app and experience, have the ability to search, have the ability to talk to a different virtual assistant, maybe one that's fronting a brand, right? So, you know, virtual assistant, go ask the Gap what a good product is for blah, 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 right? So now my path is entirely not sitting down at my computer anymore, even, right? Take me there, buy it, right? Well, you know, I mean, with the right set of systems end to end, that's a wholesale change in how we do business, both as consumers and businesses. And it means that we're sort of pivoting more to, you know, kind of this go-between kind of situation, right? How we broker these things, what metadata gets passed about what's available at a particular, you know, brand. Those contracts become really interesting, and some of them will even be on the fly. So, you know, enterprise software too, right? You know, more of a co-pilot perspective rather than like messing around with figuring out how to get all the widgets visible to the user at the same time, which has been our history. So I think that that's like sort of, it's an interesting inflection point. I wouldn't say we're there, but that's what's coming.
What about things kind of like in the background, like, fulfillment and supply chains and, shipping, all the things that people,
Yeah.
don't want to think about, but become incredibly important during the holiday season? Because what's the point of getting a gift or going online and buying a gift, thinking it's going to show up at Christmas, and then it doesn't show up at Christmas? What are some of those implications?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that one thing that I think we'll see is better experiences end to end, with Gen AI able to detect and execute workflow. And I think that it's a little bit nascent right now, but I think that what for the consumer, what that really, gives us is the ability to, just really a quicker loop to resolving annoying problems. Most of the annoying problems from a service perspective end up being the ones that go into middle office and back office, or that are interdepartmental and require today a lot of transfers, right? We hate that as consumers. And especially if I'm dealing with just a product that I bought rather than, like, say, life insurance, right? Like life insurance, I'm willing to tolerate probably a higher level of inconvenience because it's literally, right, life. Um, but, say I bought a TV, didn't arrive on time, I have a Wizmo kind of situation, right? Where's my order? Classic chatbot stuff for the last 10 years, easily. However, right, where it gets hard is I have a logistics partner that's on a different stack, right? Now, like, what do we know between the two systems? Why isn't the data being passed, right? Gen AI models are starting to be able to operate technology for us, right? So as we lean into that, right, whether it's a human agent or the bot itself, what can we do to kind of line that up so that the virtual humans and the real humans have better tool sets to be able to just go and delegate and do that without having to call somebody, without having to email, without having to do all the things that really slow us down.
Do you think, like, this year, I mean, I at the beginning of the year, kind of the AI and the Gen AI talk, um, was around co-pilots and chatbots, and the use cases for using those. And then towards the end of the year, probably mid, and then it really accelerated as we move into the end of the year. We're talking about agentic AI. We're talking about autonomous
Yep.
agents, or a certain level of autonomy. Um, do we see, because it feels like it's still kind of early days for that, are we going to see most of the kind of experiences that AI and Gen AI will impact? Will it mostly be more of the human in the loop, where the AI is helping some employee to help for a customer experience? Or are we actually going to really see a significant impact from autonomous agents doing things based on their kind of the data that's at their disposal, and their
Yeah.
ability to make their own decisions? Are we going to see a lot of that over the next couple of months?
I over the next couple of months is probably a bit of a stretch, but it is where the industry's going. I think that we're moving from I design a tree that says exactly what my experience is and what we will do, and I script everything for the agent as well, right? To more of instruction sets, right? We can prompt with the instruction sets, and then the LLMs themselves know things like how to make an API call, how to talk to a different system, how to generate output formats. We're starting to see that. And we're starting to see some of these reasoning models come, right? Where I can go through a series of thought process, chain of thought, it's called, right? Like where I can go through and check my work and refer to things to make sure my work is correct, right? So that allows for a lot more of a flexible experience design. It also means that our IT departments actually can depend more on business users to describe in plain English, and then they directly use that as prompts rather than, I've got to code it all up in the platform of yesteryear. So I think that there's a lot of unlock there, and I think that the flexibility that it will bring is we'll have these libraries of guided flows that allow for that are LLM operated, and then we kind of have ecosystems of apps operate them, whether it's a co-pilot helping a human or it's a virtual human. But I think that nothing really gets away from designing a good experience. So if you're, sort of a CX professional embedded in a brand, your job is still to create the best experience. And I think that I'm noticing really a blend of kind of this desire to build easier, to maintain easier, to be more freeform and human, coupled with, we are an important brand. It needs to be our voice. Variation isn't actually helpful all the time, right? So I need rules followed. You'll see the models get better at following those rules, and that is actually another important component of, if we can back a little bit off of the guardrails kind of thing, because we can trust what the model's doing, that really that kind of levels the playing field for all sorts of things to be true.
I remember during experience, I think that was that May or June?
It was May. Yeah.
It's May. I think I've been
sitting outside Denver. Awesome.
Yeah. First of all, it was a great event. And one of the things that really stuck out to me were a couple, the universal orchestration that you guys were talking about. And I sat down before I sat down with you during the event. I sat down and I went through this whole there's like 5 stages or 5 things, but actually it's 6. I think it cuts from level 0 to level 5.
Yeah, levels of experience orchestration, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it was really fascinating to hear, kind of those stages. Where does all that fit in if for companies that are getting ready to try to make the most out of what's going to take place during this holiday season? They're trying to meet expectations. They're trying to give people the right recommendations. They give them enough information to know when their stuff is coming. Is there a point where they, based on the information at their disposal, they'll be able to detect if something is not going to get to somebody in time, and they give them enough time to make some sort of adjustment? Are we going to see some of the customers that are kind of using your platform be able to get close to operating in that higher level of universal orchestration, where that things are, the data is flowing, the bots are working, the conversations are taking place, and the bottom line is folks are at least having some sort of a comfort level with, oh, I got the right thing and it's coming, or all right, they just let me know I need to, this might not come. Here's an alternative. Are we going to be able to have companies be able to have those kind of experience for their customers where, it's not a whole bunch of manual stuff going on, but there's actual this automated autonomous flow going in the background?
Yeah, I think a lot of our investments have been about making those levels real, and just for the audience, level 2 was more, you've got to design everything deliberately. Level 3 is more of the unlock, with LLMs allowing more flexibility, more next best action, co-pilot, virtual agent. And then as 4 and 5 emerge, it's really more about empathetic experiences, and then truly autonomous, AI is generating the experience. So that's kind of where we're headed, and to make that real, our philosophy for a while has been to blend things like conversational and generative with predictive machine learning, math only kinds of things. So like I said earlier, there's this interlock between, you've got what people say, what they're actually talking about, but then you also have what are they doing, right? And especially in digital, we can take rich signals about what people are looking for, what they're actually doing, what they're typing, what they're saying. We can get them to a better place with recommendations. We can get them to a better place if they need help with a targeted experience, rather than one that's generic main menu, and then you've got to kind of go back through all of the steps again. As we move forward, we're making a huge investment in journey management, bringing a lot of event data to our platform, and that really unlocks a lot of deliberate design around not only I have those experiences for great service or for great recommendations at the front end, but where should I use them and where is it most optimal to use them? And that's where I think it gets really interesting, because that's really where you see the blend of service and marketing technologies coming together. As I design that journey, I might say, hey, I can be more proactive here, right? I should actually reach out to the customer and say, hey, noticed you're looking for, here are 5 convenient links for, buyers like you, blah, 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 right? And then I get to the product that I need. And I can also anticipate in those types of moments, maybe that they need help, right? Like, what is the, you may not know that these are the types of batteries you will need on Christmas morning. Classic thing, right? You don't have the batteries for the thing you bought. Right? Kids screaming, right? So avoiding those moments and having a delightful holiday experience is, of course, the goal of the retailer, right? And then technologies like ours can really help with that too.
Alan has a question about how can B2C vendors target people who aren't doing Google searches?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's going to require some maturity on the operators of those experiences, right? So if you're a, sort of someone who's going to use, ChatGPT directly, the consumer version, maybe you're paying for it. You might be using other sites like Perplexity. Similar to what Google has created with, how their search dovetails into all those sites and experiences and apps. We need signaling and we need history. We do think that there's like a lot of emergence, a lot of research in digital doubles and digital twins around like modeling consumers, right? And having that be the fodder for what their own virtual assistant will then use. And I think that, like I was talking about earlier, there's this whole new wave that will come of how do we broker these things and what do we expose as the metadata to have a contract between a consumer focused experience where I'm prompting and I'm trying to find the thing and get advice, and then where the action actually happens, which is probably going to be more brand focused. So I think that will mature over time, but I think that the idea that we'll see technology players on both sides of that intermediating, and maybe even some having the idea that they're going to try to do both and create more of an integrated, kind of vertically integrated experience. Totally possible. Probably not every company has the credibility to do that, but some will.
So it's basically November. It's like the crunch time here.
Yep.
What are folks going to be, what are the best things that they could do right now at almost like at the 0 hour to make the most out of the next couple months by, creating the best experiences they can, whether it's, the recommendations, whether it's, having the supply chain and logistics tied in. What are the things that they can do right now to optimize the impact for this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, some of the relatively easy things are just to make sure that the journeys that people are on, the behavioral data is actually integrated with everybody involved, right? So that you have those signals in any, virtual agent or bot kind of experience, that you've got it plumbed through to when, if an agent needs to help a customer, seeing what they've been doing is actually sort of I would say a table stakes to have that knowledge of what journey they're on. That's how you deliver an empathetic experience. I think on the front end, it's just really having a lot of look at making sure your systems are all functioning, right? You're capturing the data. You have the ability to adjust and test and, sort of modify those shopping journeys on the fly. And I think that there is like also a realm of, just really looking for stability and, people are already buying presents right now, right? So it's a little bit of a, kind of a, make sure that you have the visibility, the observability, the monitoring set up so that, you can react, right? And there's AI emerging there that, for sysadmins of, being able to do operations on systems and interpret data And that's another, we'll probably talk more next year on this one, but there's a lot to do there that will really help companies scale, be more responsive, be more agile. So
What about, you have partnerships with like ServiceNow, and I remember it was a really big rollout. And actually, the way you guys did it, because I was at the ServiceNow event, and it was part of their keynote, and then the next week it was the experience event. And so there's some serious synergies going on. What impact does a partnership like what you have with ServiceNow have on your customers' ability to do some of the things that we talked about?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, ServiceNow, amazing company, such credibility and workflows, both for, kind of internal, and then also, facing the customer. But they're really good at, when we were talking about inventory management, that idea of how these types of things that are annoying that reach into middle office and back office. I think a little bit of our philosophy with partnering more tightly with ServiceNow and integrating more tightly with ServiceNow is the idea that if we can deliver a cohesive, unified experience, we can go end to end. Genesys really great at the front end, right? And we have all the real-time signals, the ways that you can create those experiences in delightful ways. As you go into the middle office and back office, workflow hits many, many systems. Some of them are old-fashioned systems. ServiceNow shows real excellence with that. And they also just have a very robust, flexible platform as well, just like ours. So it has different strengths, but when you bring the two things together, you have this really nice, kind of being able to help a customer no matter where it needs to go, and in a very seamless way. And we can create not only a great desktop for agents who are using both systems together, but then also I think for the end customer, the consumer, you just get a more delightful experience that's much easier, and you get the data that you need about what's going on, and you get your problem fixed much more quickly.
Brett, do you think this is going to be? I know this is like I don't know if this is economist kind of question or what, but do you foresee this being a pretty good holiday season?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it'll be a big one. I think that we are, kind of sitting at an interesting moment in time with, we've got an election next week, right? We've got, people kind of wondering how that will shake out. I think that, economic signals, may be a little bit mixed, but I think that a lot of folks are feeling maybe a little better than they had been, right? So I think it's going to be kind of an interesting one, but I think, my prediction is it'll be a good one. And I think one where we actually are going to see a lot of stories coming through about how Gen AI has really kind of changed the game in terms of, how the season unfolded. Can't wait to hear those stories and just what lessons we can learn about technology for the next year.
Yeah, I'm curious if it is a good holiday season. How much would that be due to Gen AI and its capabilities to improve experiences? Whether it's a self-service experience or a self-shopping experience, or when a customer needs help and is able to do it in a more natural, conversational way. I don't know how you measure the impact of that. But if it is a good shopping season, I would think it would have to have some piece of that success, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, sort of retail is an important vertical for us, and we focus on that kind of end-to-end experience a lot, on the predictive journey signaling that you really need to weld your digital properties into the service experiences to be able to go end to end. And I absolutely believe that when we talk about the success in the season, a lot of it is going to be, we know that, good experiences breed loyalty, breed more sales, right? So those types of loops, we really want to be able to activate for retail and e-commerce companies. And, you know, we can do that at scale. And yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see the success that comes out of the season on that basis.
Yeah, maybe we could circle back around once there's
Yeah.
an opportunity to really study it and find out, because I would just I'm so interested in, you know, the pre-chat GPT and the post-chat GPT. Man, I wish I wouldn't, you know, always stutter over that. But anyway, I want to, yeah, I need an acronym. So I really would love to figure out exactly, because I think this is going to be the first real year that there's going to be some potentially significant impact on it, just to see what it is and how it kind of manifests itself. But the other thing I've got to ask you before you go is, got to get your prediction for the year, man. Who's going to actually win the NFC West? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be me? Or is it going to be the Cardinals? I mean, I can't believe I'm saying
that. No, I know. You guys play the Hawks, right?
Yeah, we got them coming up
coming weekend. Yeah. So you know, I don't know. I mean, I feel like both the Rams and the 49ers will do better in the second half. You know, we just gotta kind of, you know,
get our guys back, right? A lot of the injuries and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you know, you got a lot of injuries. So, you know, yeah, I mean, my money's still in the Niners, but you know, there's there's a lot of games to play. We'll see how it goes. You know, and it may be a maybe next year situation, but fingers crossed.
All right. Somebody is saying agreed. LinkedIn user, you got to let us know who you are. I want to know who's agreeing, and who are you agreeing with? I guess you're agreeing with Brett that it's the 49ers. And if that is the case, it's going to be some 49ers fan I know. I'm hot. By the way,
people, right?
Alan says, yes, we need a repeat of this. But I don't know if we'll have the actual answers in January. It might take a little longer. I don't know. But yeah, I think it would be fascinating to see exactly how things kind of shook out. And I really appreciate Brett for you taking the time to talk about this. And are you guys putting out any insights or anything that people should be on the lookout for around this stuff?
We will have, I think we'll have data around holiday shopping trends and just what we see with our brands. And you know, we do also periodically our State of CX report, which would be more of a retroactive, but you know, in future versions of those, we'll definitely be capturing and focusing on what is Gen AI unlocking and how is it really changing the game for retail and other industries as well.
Awesome. By the way, that was Marielle, and what she was agreeing with, she was actually agreeing with Alan about we needing to do this again. All right. I like that agreement there, Mary.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, Brett, thanks so much for doing this. And
totally.
Definitely look forward to following up after the new year and all that. If I don't talk to you, have a great holiday season. And, you know, have a great football season outside of when you play us again, because we got one more to go against y'all.
Yeah, no, that's right. Thanks so much, Brent. Appreciate the time, and wish you great holidays coming up as well.
Thanks. And I will see you guys in a couple hours when we do CRM Players. So until then,
say hi to Paul.
I will. Definitely will. Bye.